Welcome everyone for our next session here with the Garmin Health Research webinar. We do have usually special guests here. I, of course, Leon, will start with a little bit of introduction, and then the main stars of the show today are Jordi and Thomas from our partners from the University of Copenhagen and from UniqueMe, respectively. So welcome, guys. Thanks for being with us today. And I will hand over the word to you guys in a few minutes. What we have planned for today is quick welcome from my side, quick recap on how we Garmin work with researchers, how we would like, or how we make our ecosystem available for researchers. And then we'll go into the exciting stuff. The Danish Precision Health Initiative, the DELPHI study, which just recently launched at the University of Copenhagen, one of the world's largest studies with wearables, with consumer wearables over a very long period of time. So very excited to hear from Jordi on that a little bit. And then we'll dive a little bit deeper, not only on the scientific side, but also on the technology side and what really powers that behind, or what really is behind such a study in terms of the study management and in terms of all the data integrations. And this is where we have Thomas, who will be talking about UniqueMe, one of our platform partners. So we have built a system that allows third parties to integrate Garmin devices in a way that is completely independent of Garmin. So it's the Garmin hardware you're using, but no data flows through any Garmin servers or services. This is also what the example is built on of today. But with that, enough of the recap and over to some very exciting stuff. I'd first like to hand over the word to Jordi. Jordi, thanks for joining us here today. I'll quickly stop sharing my screen. And then, a little bit of an introduction. I'll let you guys, let you do the talking a little bit more, but you're one of the co-investigators of the DELPHI study. And we'll be talking about, what is the study? What are you guys set out to do? What the goal really is behind that. And with that, the stage is yours. Excited to hear more about this great initiative.
All right, thanks, Leon, for a nice introduction, and thanks for the invitation to present on the DELPHI study. I prepared a few slides. I like to share them with you. I'll talk a little bit more what is this study about, the rationality, the design, and the challenges that we face when designing a study like that. And we call it Danish Precision Health Initiative, and it stands for DELPHI. So I felt that it was good to provide my potential conflicts of interest related to this presentation. I don't have major things to disclose. So maybe the first question that you have now is what is precision health? What is this guy talking about? So let's do the following exercise. If you put yourself 3,000 years ago, you might, and now we are in the ancient Greek civilization, the common belief by that time was that health was a gift from the gods and disease was a divine a illness, a divine punishment. So the gods were upset with you and then you get diseases. So this was a very simplified way of seeing health and disease, and only 5 factors modulated whether you were healthy or you had a disease. And these factors were like the social class, the geographic location, the belief that you have, the mindset, and the trauma. From this initial understanding, the concept of health and disease has progressed, and in part has progressed thanks to this guy, Galileo Galilei, who is the father of the scientific method. With the scientific method, scientists observe, predict, test, and generalize. And based on the adoption of the scientific method, new factors were discovered that could influence health and disease. So evidence-based medicine is the application of this scientific method, and this is the gold standard in way we treat or we approach patients. The problem with evidence medicine is that due to the explosion of the scientific knowledge, the approach has been outdated because there are now many factors that influence our progression from a healthy to a disease stage that have been barely captured traditionally with clinical studies. And precision medicine, at the end, it's only an evolution of our current evidence medicine model. And why do this is needed? Why do we need precision health, precision medicine? So diabetes is a nice illustration for that. So in this figure, what you can see, it's what we call the clinical based categories of diabetes. According to your blood glucose levels, your doctor will treat you in one way or the other, depending on these glucose values. But the reality is that these glucose values encapsulate different aspects of your metabolism, your behavior, that are not captured with these clinical-based categories. So what we proposed a few years ago is that a much more refined understanding of what causes your high glucose levels could help us to identify specific groups of the disease that are more similar to each other and can enable to specific treatment, prevention, and management strategies. And this is what we call clusters here. And in this hypothetical example, we thought that it might be 5 clusters of diabetes that could benefit from more targeted strategies or more targeted medications. So you may wonder, why do we need more studies? These two are very good examples and very powerful applications in which we can deliver precision health. So, well, what I want to argue is that these studies include a breadth of data, but they miss critical aspects that are very relevant on how people transition from a healthy to a disease stage. For example, the UK Biobank has limited, and the All of Us program have limited granular socio-behavioral data. Where you live, what is your income, your education, your behavior, smoking, diet, those things are not pretty well captured in these other repositories. These two repositories also miss aspects of the day-to-day routines. For example, how hungry you are at a certain point, your mood, whether you have good social connections and social relationships. These studies are also very static. They are cross-sectional. They only capture a one-time assessment measurements. We believe that dynamic perturbations are very relevant. For example, consuming certain amount of foods, consuming certain meal tests, and then doing some sort of exploration among these tests. Performing physical activity can help us to identify biological markers that are not traditionally captured in these other studies. One of the things that we feel that it's needed to advance precision medicine is precision measurements. Sometimes these studies, they prefer to have a higher number of individuals and they care less about the determinations and the measurements. We think that there is a lot of value on accurate and precise measurements, because then all the things that we infer from this data will have a much more impactful meaning. And then most of the studies also miss the lifelong view from the disease, the healthy to a disease stage, from birth to death. And this is possible only in places in which you have a strong healthcare national registers that allow you to understand all the clinical events that a person has during the life course. So with this, we decided to launch the Danish Precision Health Initiative, or DELPHI. And this is the team behind this study. It's a big study and it's a small team, but we're very committed and we are working very hard to make this happen. We started the work 3 years ago, and as Leon said, we were able to launch the study a few weeks ago. So the study, it's rather an intense study protocol in which people need to do a lot of things, but this is what we don't want to do, because this is how we can capture all these aspects that are traditionally not included in clinical studies. So in the DELPHI study, participants come to the hospital after an overnight fast. They go through a specific anthropometric measurements, a DEXA, body composition, a blood test, and then we spend 1 hour with them, putting them some wearables, and giving them instructions for all the things that they will need to do for the next 2 weeks. And a central element of this session, it's the mobile phone application that we have specifically designed for the study. This mobile phone application, it's like a notebook on everything that they have to do. They have a timeline, they have all the tasks, we can send reminders, we can communicate with the participants. So this is a very central element in our study. And this initial contact with the participants takes 3 hours. After this, they are left home for 10 days, and they have to do a lot of active tasks. Some of the data that we capture, it's passive. The participant doesn't need to do anything, just to wear the devices that we put on them, but others require some sort of interaction for the participant. Among the passive monitor things that we're doing in our study, it's to put them a 24 hours blood pressure monitor, a continuous glucose monitor, a silicone band that captures pollution, a Garmin badge, and a physical activity tracker. Then they are instructed to complete a specific tasks. One is a cognition game that they have to play, and then we can assess different cognition domains. We ask them to do dynamic tests. So we provide them 2 meals. One is an oral glucose tolerance test. The other one is a meal mix tolerance test. And we ask participants to take blood themselves while they are consuming these meals. Not just only when they are consuming these meals, but after 30 minutes later, 2 hours later, 4 hours later, with a device that enables the remote collection of blood. We ask them to collect biospecimens, urine, stool. They have to record everything that they eat, and they have to fill specific questionnaires. And everything is integrated in this mobile phone application that I just mentioned. After these 10 days, they are invited again to the hospital, and then is where we do the deep clinical measurement profiling. As you can see here, there are 16 procedures. Participants go one after another, and we can measure many, many things related to their cardiovascular health, liver health, adipose tissue, dynamic testing like muscle strength, cardiorespiratory fitness, and many, many other things. The idea is not just do this at once. So what I just explained would be like the baseline assessment. And our plan is to follow the participant for the next 25 years to come. And then we will have these repeated assessments every 2 or 4 years, depending on the participants. And then we will follow the participants through online surveys. So some technological developments, and this is my last slide. We see DELPHI, when we started with DELPHI, this was like an iceberg for us. The most easiest thing was to pick the phenotypes that we wanted to assess. We wanted to assess blood pressure, we wanted to assess liver fat, but then it becomes clear that the technological challenges that we needed for this study were massive. We were able to overcome some of these challenges and come with a creative solutions thanks to the collaboration with UniqueMe. I mentioned the mobile phone application. It's a central element on our study, and what it keeps the participants know what they have to do and what allows the communication with the participants. We had to invent different data flows for all the wearables and all the devices that people use. We had to design a web page that enables the recruitment and the public dissemination of the study. We have a solution for invitation to participate in the study through a very particular system in Denmark that it's the digital post, in which you only get relevant information in this post. We develop a lot of clinical data capture app solutions to make sure that there were not errors with the reporting and of the data collection. So everything goes to our internal database in a pretty automatic way, in which minimal or little input from the test leaders. So in Denmark, we have a strong legal and ethical regulation through GDPR. All our solutions and technical capabilities needed to be GDPR compliant. And then we had this view that the study will not only happen at the University of Copenhagen, and we will need to expand and scale. So all the elements that we develop has this scalability in mind. And the most important, this is a almost autonomous data capture, fully digital study, and it's designed with the participant in mind. We are aware that people are follow on their daily routines, and what we wanted to do from the very beginning is to facilitate things, to make sure that the participants can be compliant and can be comfortable with the study, and this is the as less invasive as we can. And with this, I'll pass it to Thomas, who can explain more about the technological challenges.
Thanks, Jordi. Before passing it on to Thomas, there are a couple of questions that I'd like to pass on right now. I know we have a little bit longer Q&A scheduled in the end, but I think it fits quite nicely here because you just ended on that. You mentioned a central element is the mobile application to the study. You just launched, I think it was about a month and a half ago or so. The goal is massive. I mean, 10,000 participants. Yeah, a big challenge. How is the compliance or the acceptance of that mobile application so far in the cohort? Do you already see some trends? Hey, this is better than expected. This is exactly how you expected it. Hey, there's room for improvement. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll be very briefly because then Thomas, I think he must have a saying on that. So before launching the study, we did a lot of testing, test users in a very initial prototype of the app, different aspects of the app, because the app is very comprehensive. It helps you with the food logging to connecting with the Garmin device, with everything, right? So the app, it's massive. We did testing for all the specific elements. Everything was good for the participants. Before launching the study, we ran a 30 participant pilot study. We had an exit survey for the pilot participant. We asked about everything. How do you find this? Is this comfortable for you? Is this too much? Everything. The satisfaction was quite good. More than 70% reported that no issues with the app. Everything worked as expected or better than expected. So I think from my perspective, it's that the app has had a very, very, very good acceptance.
No, I think you're right. The app and the web dashboard and the whole process that quite lean, and it's been greatly accepted. One of the things that we did worry a little bit about was about the meal logging, and yes, we have worked very closely also with our partner on that one. So the image-based meal logging was actually quite well accepted from the very beginning. So there was a lot of meals, more meals than we expected. That was actually reported by the pilot, and we're seeing the same trends, and of course we're learning as we go, but especially I think the nutritional values of the DELPHI study will be quite comprehensive compared to the classic methods. But yeah, thanks for that question.
Jordi, for now, thank you very much. Over to you, Thomas. As I mentioned at the beginning, now focusing really on what powers a study like that. Unique me. And Thomas, with that, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. And you see my screen now, right?
Yes.
Very good, very good. Yeah, and not this impressive background. Let me also introduce to you a special guest star today. Lisette next to me will tell also about the Cyclome study today. So you have to keep your patience for the best moment at the end, where Lisette will take over. For now, of course, Danish Precision Health Initiative, or DELPHI, came out of something. Let me tell a little bit about how this started and why UNITME came to what we are today. First, we talked with a lot of researchers, clinicians, and not least the health users. And the clinicians and researchers had a strong focus on the patient's health outcomes and generating and applying new knowledge. I mean, I think, Jordi, you are a good representative of that. They also told us about the future therapies of precision health, therapies fueled by the data of each individual. In line with that, the health user, some of them patients, some of them just participants, quite obviously wanted to personalize the guidance they received. And they also wanted to contribute to research. There was kind of a very strong commitment. Then we asked them what was hindering them. And we got a long list of everything from getting in contact with the participants, experience with data loss, privacy. Someone was curious or nervous about where the data went. And some participants, as we also put an effort into, they left because it was too cumbersome and too cranky to actually participate, and they did not really know what was coming out of it. So we went about defining the stepping stones from the population of potential participants to committed participants, providing high quality data for researchers and clinicians. For those dedicated professionals to devote their time to research and precision health, nothing else. Then we narrowed down to what UNITME could assist with. And the top of the list was legal compliance. You saw the list from the iceberg with Jordi before, and clearly that was one of the top concerns. One researcher said to us that he thought that his surroundings was more into legal compliance than into health. So second was data security and protection, which followed quite naturally on top of their minds. And finally, we talked about automation and digitalization, because really this is about devoting the resources to research, not moving stuff around and relying on manual actions. So having that in mind, we built and are still expanding the DataMentor platform, the platform that Jordi and his team is using, and which has a number of component parts. Still, when I double click on the platform, it's all about the high quality data sets. It's about the protocol being lean in its implementation, both for the participant, but definitely also for the staff. So eventually, it's also about novel health intervention. The DELPHI study is a non-intervention study, but still a lot of our customers are also coming to us to get a platform that extends into that. So let me elaborate on what this entails. As a foundation, we bring technology and operational excellence combined with health competence from nutritional and human physiology professionals. So we're technology, but we also know a bit about health. This we combined with our best practice of IT and legal compliance, while emphasizing the ethical matters too. This matters to both the researchers, but definitely also the participants. Then we create an ever-growing suite of data sources. We heard Jordi mention some of them. It's from smartphones over more advanced devices, or here under Garmin watch and scales. We talked also about the meal logging with AI, the cognitive indexes, and so forth. And in order to cater an easy access, we create a configurable user interfaces. The app is one of them, but there's also web interfaces. For example, food frequency questionnaires is not suited for mobile, but it's more on a web that dashboard suited. The participant management is actually quite crucial also for the staff. So finally, I will continue working with our customers to enable interventions that evidently are their intellectual property while being hosted at DataMentor. The same goes with data. Data that the participant has donated for you to create knowledge from. So DataMentor acts as a bridge between you and the participants. In a simplified term, we have made complex technology accessible as a service by developing a set of building blocks. This is the DataMentor platform in a nutshell, and it constitutes a loop of trust between you and your patients or participants. And obviously, it is brought to you with a set of contemporary UIs. Let's have a sneak peek on that. So configurable user interfaces really is the core here that you can actually go in and you can quickly and lean deploy. So it's both intuitive because we use best standard, but also we are fitted to the context, whether that's through our AMARs or Abacus measures and adaptions, or it's through the common standards of UIs, even used in social media. Furthermore, data both in its capture and its use needs to be both managed and secure. So how is things going on with the participants? What are the trends? How can you log in with your trusted ID? How can you get trusted feedback in the loop of intervention studies? Finally, to reach results based on data, some customers have asked us to a safe harbor for data use. Others does it themselves. But really, this is again listening to our customers and the participants in order to give a comprehensive and suitable set of building blocks that can be deployed quicker and also more cost efficient than most others. So now we heard about me talk about the DataMentor platform. We heard Jordi talk about the Precision Health Initiative, which is a large cohort study for many years. Still, the Danish Precision Health Initiative evolved and was inspired from more explorative, smaller studies. And in order to demonstrate how DataMentor assists those two, I have invited you, Lisette, from the Cyclome study. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I am Lisette and I'm working at the Danish Headache Center at the hospital in Denmark. And we've been focusing a lot on migraine research. Just like many other studies, diseases, there's differences between sexes. So, for example, migraine, depression, osteoporosis, autoimmune disorders, ADHD. Many are more prevalent in women, or symptoms are actually different between the sexes. If we look at migraine as an example, we see that there are 3 women for each man having migraine, but we also did a big study seeing that the symptoms of migraine are pretty much different for women compared to men. So there's way more MO, so migraine without aura, while men have more migraine with aura. The attacks are different, so there's, for example, the attacks are longer, more frequent. They're often coming by physical activity, and so on and so on. Then there's a subtype of migraine called menstrual migraine. So this, of course, only happens in women. And you have pure menstrual migraine, related menstrual migraine. With pure menstrual migraine, the attacks only happen in the small window of menstruation, while menstrual related migraine can also happen outside, but 2 out of 3 attacks needs to be inside the menstruation. So we are pretty sure that hormones have something to do with migraine and with many other diseases, but we don't know what. We know a few of the hormones that are really driving the menstrual cycle, but we also know that many more are indirectly involved. So it's a very complex system of hormonal fluctuations. And we know that it doesn't only affect the menstruation and some diseases, but also immune function, pain sensitivity, metabolism, mood, and so on. We don't know how. Most studies just split the menstruation cycle up in different phases and compare one phase with the other. Well, we know there's way more, it's a continuous phenotype. There's happening something all the time in different directions. So we decided to zoom into that. So do a real like precision health study, but really focusing only on the menstrual cycle. For that, we designed the Cyclome. We invited women to participate and to come into us every single day during one full menstrual cycle. For every day, we would collect a blood sample, a urine sample. We would take a rectal, vaginal, and nasal swabs. They would fill in every day an e-diary with all different questions. And they would wear the Garmin watch to follow them. And then we collected menstrual blood at the first day of menstruation. So a very, very labor-intensive project, as they had to come in every day. And this whole project would lead to a massive load of data. Unfortunately, we have just finished the collection of data, and now everything is in the labs to be analyzed. So I cannot present you any interesting results yet, though I'm pretty sure they will follow soon. But this will be a little bit what we will have to deal with. A multi-omics study with all analyses done, RNA sequencing, proteomics, microbiomics, full hormonal profiling, and then all the phenotype data that we've collected with e-diaries and the Garmin watch. And just to highlight how UniqueMe has come into this project is in 2 different ways. First of all, of course, with the Garmin watches, they have taken care of that we are getting the data, that the transfer from the watches to our computers was going smoothly. And secondly, with the participant recruitment, we need consent of all the participants, where we could use the digital platform to get their digital signatures. So to wrap up, the current status of this project is that we are finished with data collection for this first pilot study on a menstrual migraine, where we've recruited 40 participants within 6 months. So where many people thought that this would be an impossible project because women would not come in every day for all the examples, we've proven that it's possible to go really in depth and do precision health on such a focused project. We're running all the lab work right now in 6 showcases, and then we would love to extend this project to become as big as DELPHI, let's say like that. We want to do many more diseases, many more individuals should be recruited. And we want to focus on all this variation that happens during the menstrual cycle, not only between women, but also within women, because we know that not one cycle is the same as the other. So thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Lisette. So over to you, Leon, and questions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for both the deep dive into the Unique Me platform and then also the Cyclome study. There are already a few questions. I will start with them here in a second. But yeah, for everybody listening in online, feel free to drop your questions right here. I'll start with a first one, or actually two that are going in a very similar direction. So Thomas, this is mostly for you. Whether the app that you've built was built from scratch just for Unique Me, so DataMentor platform. This is one part of the question, combining it with the other, whether your system, but I think that the second part of the presentation already touched on that, can only be used for large-scale studies like this DELPHI study, or is it usable also with different requirements? Some participants just need, questionnaires plus Garmin data, others need, or some researchers and stuff like that. So I think the good question goes a little bit into that direction. Also, the person is asking whether you have a specific disease focus, so nutritional studies or women's health studies. So yeah, lots of questions into one question. I'll let you address that, Thomas.
Thank you for that. It also makes me give me the occasion to remind that I'm from Denmark. I'm from the country of Lego. So do we build from scratch? As such, we do. But just like that, you can build a small car by Lego, but you can also build the Hogwarts castle. So this is, I would say that you pick what you need. Obviously, the study design itself is dedicated, or the property of the study, but how you pick and choose the building blocks of the DataMentor platform, that's up to a conversation we have. While we're having this call, there's a meeting going on where an intervention study regarding nutrition is going on, and they have picked the building block of a recipe catalog, which is not used by others yet. But as you see with the Cyclome, the Garmin integration through the health SDK is used with Jordi, and you're using Vivo Active, and it's used with you on the Veno. So with our partners, we keep extending those building blocks to fit the specific study. Whether we have a specific disease focus? No, we don't. We are the toolbox, or the box of Lego bricks that you can get us to put together. One thing, and that's, I hope that it went through, the foundation of both data security, privacy, and ethical standard, that goes through everything we do. So it actually becomes all the boring stuff, I would say, we do without you have to worry about it.
So more or less, you can come with your requirements for, hey, this is the data I want to collect, this is my scenario, and then pick and choose the different tools. Cool. Another question, I think both of you can address that. I'll let you guys decide who's better to speak about this. Question from one of the participants was, could you speak a bit about how you went about logging diet? I'm especially curious about balancing ease of use versus data precision.
Jordi?
I'll take it, yeah, because this has been a focus of debate during the DELPHI design and implementation. So After exploring many things, we decided to go with an image-based food logging. And the particularity of this image-based food logging is that it's baked with an AI system that recognizes what is in the picture. So instead of just taking a picture and then going to endless drop-down menus in which you have to pick whatever you have in the picture is sent to a server. The server runs among a train thousands of pictures, and then it provides you a few suggestions. Is this an apple? Is this a banana? Is this a salad? And then from a very limited list of options, you choose whatever you consume. And then, of course, there are meta questions in which you refine. It's about this size, this other size. We ask the participants to use a token in which we have sizes and colors in the case that it's not clear or there is a mismatch with the reporting and the picture. So it's a pretty straightforward approach in which participants can do the food logging in a matter of a minute for a relatively large meal compared to previous applications in which you spend almost 15 or 20 minutes in reporting everything that you ate. I don't know if I missed anything, Thomas.
No, I think this very well reflects also that the DELPHI and the Danish Precision Health Initiative applies a gold standard and also applying a scientifically renowned service that we have integrated, just like you are applying Garmin. This service is integrated with the privacy and data protection that we have built around it. You are using some study-specific context questions and so forth, and as you're saying, the reference card. Others would probably want to use the core service of image recognition of meals difference. That's again, it's a part of the integration we do. You're applying the gold standard, whereas others would probably choose to use it differently. Yes. Thanks for that, Jordan.
So that means on the participant side, they take a picture.
Yep.
The picture is being analyzed without the participant's involvement, and then the participant does some refinement on the input, right? So relatively simple setup, and you mentioned takes a minute or so.
The AI will suggest what's on the picture, the tomatoes, cucumbers, chicken, and it will ask some additional questions. Are there any oil added to it, and so forth. So it's a matter of clicking rather than searching and specifying.
Yeah.
It's quite what do you call it? Also adapted to European meals. Because I mean, it would obviously be a different service if we were in Singapore or in Montreal. But it's also applying a classic meals in Scandinavia.
Which makes sense for the Danish Precision Health Initiative, right? Moving on to another question from the chat on whether you guys can elaborate on how the participants react to the awareness that comes with all the tests and monitoring being carried out. So they're specifically interested in whether you see a concerning churn rate. Do you see many dropouts already, or is the compliance relatively high?
So far in our study, it's very high. We just started. We don't have an historical background to quantify how much this will be in the years to come. For now, it's pretty straightforward. Everyone is very compliant with the tasks and everything. I must say that we did a lot of effort to make sure that the participants understand what the study is before participating. So we instruct the participants to watch videos, to learn the instructions. We provide a booklet, 16 pages with information about the study. So we don't want people that they might perceive this as go to the clinical center, do an assessment and go home. We want to make sure that the participants that start with the study, that they know the magnitude of the study. And I think we were pretty good with educating people before coming to the study, with the website, with the videos, with the instructions. So we don't see much dropout because people know exactly what is this going about. It's also true that people then get very extensive results of a report of results. It's a 16 pages document in which we provide information about physical activity, like steps, heart rate, frequency, type of activities. We provide information about diet, liver fat, DEXA. We generated a very nice 16 pages document in which participants receive this after participating to the study. So we tell people, as good as you do it during these 2 weeks or 10 days, the report will be more comprehensive and more valuable for you. If we miss most of the meals, or you don't use your Garmin watch, or whatever it happens with the task that we ask you to complete, this will be then reflected in the report, and then we cannot avoid that. And because people want to have nice reports, and then they want to compare this one with the next one that will come in 2 or 4 years, they are very, very compliant.
And our study is, of course, way shorter time frame where they have to collect data, but quite intensive, going to the hospital every day. Only 2 out of 40 missed more than 1 day, and in total 8 more missed 1 day. So they all showed up every day. We had one who we selected only people that have on average like about 30 days cycle. One had a very irregular cycle suddenly and was in it for 50 days. We offered to stop, but the person did not want to stop, wanted to finish it to the last day. I think we see a super high motivation of women wanting to participate. We have a long waiting list of people waiting till we open up again because they want to join the study.
Thank you, Lisette.
And I think that goes to show that we've seen this in many programs. The more you have people on board for the actual outcome and show them the value behind participation, even in a research study, the more engaged they will be. We are already a little bit over the time. However, there are a couple of questions I would still like to address here. I can finish up my stuff relatively short. I want to use the time while you guys are on the call. Jordi, you touched a little bit, I think, in towards the direction of the following question. You mentioned at the beginning you launched a study recently, 3 years ago of the setup, so 3 years a long time. So what were the major challenges that you experienced during the setup of such a large study? Because, I mean, I followed it a little bit, but you know, it's 3 years, right? And from the very beginning, you have to set up this large study. Yet there's many things that you learn along the way. So I think that's at least my interpretation of the question. So major challenges throughout the setup.
There were many challenges from a legal perspective on what you can do, what you cannot do, whether you can come with a solution for what you think it's more relevant for your study, to dealing with partners, purchases, making sure you have a frame for your study, making sure that you have a target population. So all these things were things that we learned along the way. The most important challenge for us was to have the backbone that enables to conduct the study. And this backbone, it's the system that the participants do not see. It's the mobile phone application that serves for everything. Without the mobile phone application, the participants are not able to complete the study. It will be completely chaotic if we had to give instructions in any other way that it's not with the mobile phone application. And then all the data flow streams that enable us the secure collection of the data. So this has taken a lot of time. We are in a public university. IT, it's always in a kind of defensive place. They don't want to see any risk. They don't want to face any major changes in their computer system and in their infrastructure. So this has been a lot of back and forth on see whether on how we can implement a study like that in the public university context. It was.
Just a note on that. Thank you very much, Jordi. I think also, I mean, Unique Me started our journey 4 years ago. In fact, along with the Center for Migraine Research, exactly addressing the biggest pain first about the legal basis for actually doing it. So we actually think we have a fairly valid track record of cracking the hardest nut first for our customers. So there's no doubt that we are also learning along and adapting. So yes, I think also the gravity of the number of data points that DELPHI is looking for is, I mean, I never experienced anything like that, of course, but it is also probably unprecedented in other studies. Yeah, Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for the very extensive answer. One last question I'd like to address. I'll ask the question first, and then I'll also with one comment from the comments or from the Q&A here. I'll let you think about it a little bit. So how do you ensure data privacy in such a large scale study from a technical perspective? I mean, on the Garmin side, I touched on that a little bit. But if you can elaborate on that quickly. Why do you think about the answer? There was one comment also regarding the Cyclome study and whether you guys are open for international collaboration. What I would do in the end is bring you two together with the one that asked this question. And yeah, I'm certainly I imagine you guys are open for international collaboration.
Yes, 100%. Please
So
contact
I'll connect you afterwards, and yeah, with that you guys can address the question on data privacy.
So essentially, and I try to reflect that in my presentation here. What we do, we connect you guys with the participants or patients, right? So technically, there are means, and we're using every mean to make that a direct connection. There are no data going anywhere else than directly between the study and the participants. The participant donates their data to the study, nobody else. So I think that's the technical. There's a lot of other technical details into that, but that's the principle. The data stream is between the participant and the study and nobody else. That's the essence. And then everything is technology apart from that. I think Garmin's commitment to the health SDK is should be a leading star to many other vendors, because really it shows the privacy and the data protection at a totally different mindset than many other data sources, right?
Well, that's a perfect way to ending this. I see there are a few more questions. We are running out a little out of time, though. I will make sure we address these questions offline after the call.
Yeah.
So, Jordi, Thomas, you guys, thank you very much for joining here today. Very exciting to hear about the DELPHI study, Unique Me, and the Cyclome study. So, thanks again for joining, and I will continue here in a moment with some last few announcements, some Garmin Health related topics. This will be a quick one, so thank you for everyone also who has stuck around until the end of the webinar, even though we ran a little bit over. On the announcement side, there are a few small things. We recently launched our research participation program. This is a program for individual Garmin users to join a pool of Garmin users that indicate their interest for joining citizen science projects. So projects where you can put your Garmin data to good use. This on the one side is participant facing. So if you have a Garmin device, feel free to sign up for it. Essentially, it's for a newsletter that gives you a regular information about the latest studies you can join. And yeah, you can find more information in that then and decide, hey, this is where I would like to donate my data or not. If you have a Garmin device, feel free to scan here and sign up. There are a few projects right now. 3 projects we kicked this off with: the Harvard Health and Happiness study that was part of the previous webinar, the ELITE study from Stanford, and the Heatbeat study from the Ludwig Boltzmann Institute in Austria. These are 3 ongoing studies you can currently join as part of the research participation program, and there will be more in the future, of course. This is for the participant-facing side. Of course, this is also, and the majority of the attendees here are researchers. This is also very interesting for researchers. We want to feature your studies there. We want to give Garmin users the ability to do something good with their data, which also means you guys as researchers can submit your projects to us. The hurdles are not that high, really. It, of course, must be based around our ecosystem, our APIs, our SDKs. It must be a good fit with why Garmin. You saw the 3 other projects on elite athletes focus on well-being and health and happiness, and also on exercising in the heat. there's a clear reason why it's good to do this with Garmin and together with Garmin. So this is what we're looking for. And then also it needs to obviously be an approved study. So it's not just like for anyone to join, but it should be an institutionally approved, reviewed study with all the information available for participants. We had an extensive session in March on this. You can rewatch the session or also come back to me with any questions or if you would like to contribute with your project. Another sign up you can do, of course, if you want to stay updated with generally Garmin Health news, you can sign up for our Garmin Health newsletter. This is not just research related stuff. Of course, we're very active in the insurance space, in the corporate wellness space, in the healthcare space, and in the gym and fitness world. So this gives you regular updates about what are we up to, where you can meet the Garmin Health team, and obviously now leading up the months to September, everything about our Garmin Health Summit. And with that, finishing up 2 minutes before we have to really close the room here, we'll have another Garmin Health Research webinar in October this year. So of course, you should block the whole month of October right now in your calendars to not miss it. I will, of course, invite everybody to a specific date then, but make sure you're open in October to attend our next Garmin Health Research webinar. And with that, again, thanks for joining us today for today's session. And yeah, with the remaining questions that are open, I will be sure to follow up. Thank you, everybody who's joined, and thank you to you guys who have contributed today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
With that, see you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.